Muy buenas noches, queridos televidentes. Mi nombre es María Luna y estoy aquí para traer una vez más nuestro programa Diálogo Democrático. Good evening, friends of Democratic Dialogue. Once again, I am coming to you with my monthly television show on cable from Manhattan Neighborhood Network to bring you special issues that I have. Also, my goal has been to educate, to bring education to the community about things that we don't think about every day. But today we have a really a joy to have my guests that are two experts, and they all have their own field. But I am going to take advantage of that because I'm going to try to keep it short my side and give them the opportunity to bring that opportunity to my community. Um, Today is not only a day of joy for me because today is one day that I bring to you someone that is very, very good. And when I say good, I can say she's very nice, she's wonderful. But Rita Hamburgh has been a great friend of ours for so many years. And I am glad that she have given me the opportunity to bring an issue that is very dear to her heart, and something that we should take very seriously, and also to make sure that we are joined by Isaac Lastra, who is expert on blood donation. And because of the experience that they have for some time, because uh, I think February 8th, I believe, Rita,
Correct,
you
correct.
had a blood drive at
Mm-hmm.
the Tabernacle, the Hebrew Tabernacle on 185th Street and Fort Washington Avenue.
Correct.
Really opened my eyes to the need after what you showed me, the response of the people in our community. But it's not enough. So now I'm going to ask you to introduce. Before that, Rita and I know for many years. She's a person from our community. Her, built her family here. Her kids were grown here, and it's really instrumental in our community because also she spent how many years, Rita, working for New York Presbyterian Hospital. But then we're gonna touch on that later. Later.
Okay, yes, I worked at Presbyterian for 35 years. I was the director of rehabilitation therapies. I'm a physical therapist. And although I've been retired for 3 years, I still have a very close connection to NYP Columbia. And that's where I got interested in participating in the blood donor drives. They do them at the hospital, and I do them 1 mile north. And I get some of the same demographic, but a little bit different. So between the two of us, we really do a good job in Washington Heights and Inwood.
No, but I read, I retired some time ago, but Rita have also links to many other
Mm.
organizations, and it's as a volunteer. So I really happy to be her friend.
I'm happy to
Okay,
be
so
yours.
Rita, now you're going to take over and take
Introduce. Mhm.
care of Isaac.
Okay. So, in order for me to be successful in opening up our house of worship, it's called the Hebrew Tabernacle at 551 Fort Washington. And it has a church on Sundays and a synagogue on Saturdays. But Monday through Friday, it's free and open and mostly empty. So I saw it as a terrific opportunity to open up the social hall, which can seat a few hundred people, and there are expenses associated with it. I had to figure out, how do we pay for the custodian, who also is a guard at the door, and how do we pay for the heat and the air conditioning. So I got all of that operational stuff done, and then I partnered with New York Blood Center to have these blood drives at least quarterly. So I am so blessed to have Isaac as my account manager for New York Blood Center, because You know how it is. You're as good as your partner. And together, we really were quite successful. So let me just tell you a little bit about Isaac. And then he's going to talk to you about the New York Blood Center and precisely what it does and what its mission and vision is. And then he'll also talk about why the Hebrew Tabernacle's blood drives are so successful, because you, the audience, we want you to replicate this important endeavor. Blood drives are so important, and we want to have more of them than we currently have. So he's going to describe why he thought our blood drive at the Tabernacle was successful. And then I'm going to add my tidbits about how we make it even more successful. So stay tuned for that. So Isaac is an account manager for the New York Blood Center, and he's been an account manager for at least a year. He started off in Queens and now works in Upper Manhattan and a piece of the Bronx. So we're so lucky that he transferred to us. The New York Blood Center helps supply local hospitals in the tri-state area with blood by partnering with organizations like mine to host blood drives. And these mobile drives allow blood donations to occur closer to where the donor lives, closer to where the donor works, so that it's much easier for the donor to come in and give a pint. So Isaac, take it away.
Yeah, so as Rita explained beautifully, we like to come to your neighborhood. We like to come to your community in order to help provide services for those who need it, right? For those who are in the hospitals. The Hebrew Tabernacle is an excellent example of the community outreach that one group can do to help save lives in the area. The Hebrew Tabernacle, as Rita mentioned, usually runs around 3 to 4 times a year. They've been running since 2021, and since then, they've helped collect 877 pints of blood. This means they helped save 2,631 lives. So thank you, Rita. A round of applause. Thank you. More specifically about this most recent blood drive on February 8th, they helped collect 90 pints of blood. And this means that they helped save up to 270 lives. A lot of the success can be due to a variety of different factors, to be honest. One of them being the great support that they have from their volunteers and their members. They help create a beautiful environment from the very start, welcoming donors and creating a nice first point of contact. Apart from that, I would say that they help promote the blood drive within their community in a great way. They plaster posters throughout the community. They go through even into the subway station to post flyers, which I thought was a unique and innovative tactic, really. They also help promote the blood drive during their own programs, such as Rita's exercise class. So as she mentioned herself, right, you can only be as good as the person you're working with. And she's just fantastic. She really champions for this cause and is able to rally everybody together.
Thank you. So I'd like to add a few tidbits about why I think our drives are so successful. So let me talk about the subway station. You're not really supposed to put posters up in a subway station. So I think you could tell that I'm a little bit on the friendly side. So I go into the subway station at 181st Street, which is on Fort Washington Avenue, close to 185th. And I make friends with some MTA workers who in turn talk to their supervisors. And I just hang up these huge plastic posters that say, "Donate blood today," right across the street. It literally is, 50 yards away. So that as people are going to work and coming out of the subway, coming home from work, they go, "Oh, I could stop by. I could donate blood at the end of my workday and also get some terrific snacks." Let me tell you, the Lorna Doones and the Oreo cookies and the beverages, they're fantastic. So that is a real draw. The other thing that Isaac and his organization give me are these big sandwich boards with big arrows. And the Hebrew Tabernacle is on a corner of Fort Wash and 185th. So I have a sandwich board at 2 corners, and then I have one right outside the subway. So I really get walking traffic. And I think, also Bennett Park is across the street. So I really think that I get a lot of traffic. And parents come with their kids. And so I sit with the kids in the beverage center and have them have water and cookies while the parents are donating blood. The other thing I do is there's a, I guess it's a website called nextdoor.com. And it goes out to all communities, but we have our own Washington Heights Inwood or WAHI next door component. And we do some fantastic advertising for free on that website. So here was one that Sarah Silver, who co-manages the drive with me, this is what she did. She said, dating is hard. Why don't you meet your fellow neighbors over doing a fantastic deed? Your values will glow and show. You're going to save 3 lives with your pint. You're going to have beverages and the best cookies there are. And we're going to introduce you to some of the nicest neighbors you've ever met. So just as an aside, one couple met each other and I heard they're getting married. So, the heck with Match.com. I think this is much more effective. It really does. It does a good deed.
God, that's a beautiful story.
It really is. It's so wonderful. So the website really helps, nextdoor.com. The billboards help, hanging up the signs. I put in my 10,000 steps by going all over the neighborhood. And the signs are both English and Spanish, because we really, as Isaac is going to tell you, we really want to draw blood from people of color, from Latinos. We really, really want to just have everybody donate. So, and then the other thing that Isaac said is that our space is very welcoming, and the volunteers make sure that people go from the area from which they had their blood drawn to the snack area, and then we don't let them go home until they're fully hydrated and had food, so that they're not woozy and can walk home safely. So I think that people should feel, I hope, invigorated by this and want to open up their buildings, houses of worship, wherever there's an available space. And ours, by the way, is open from 1:30 in the afternoon until 7:30 at night. So we get the crowd that's coming home for lunch, and then we get the crowd mostly coming home from work. And even some after they've eaten dinner, they come and donate blood and bring their kids with them, because, kids watch what you do and not only what you say. And so if you want your children to be good citizens and they watch you doing what we call in the Jewish religion a mitzvah, which is a good deed to fix the world, you show by example. So we have a lot of kids eating a lot of Oreos. Sorry, Isaac, but that's where they're going.
Great. We encourage that.
Let me just add there what you just said. We need to encourage people to also to be involved, but also to understand that this is vital, that we have problems all over the world. We have wars. We see people,
trauma.
And when I see children in hospitals that they need blood, and it's not there, and here in our communities, the hospitals, they talk about how necessary it is to depend on people to donate blood, because there are all type of blood, and maybe Isaac can give us a little,
tell us. But just as an example, Maria, because when I worked at the hospital as a physical therapist and as an administrator, around 4th of July, I'd say 2 weeks before and a few days after, kids in the neighborhood would be lighting all kinds of fireworks and burning themselves. and they needed blood. They'd be rushed to emergency rooms needing blood around the 4th of July. Who would have thought? So kids hurt themselves. There are car accidents. There's trauma. They get hit by cars. So fall off bicycles. So our hospitals are always in need. And when you go for emergency surgery, they're not going to ask you to donate your own blood first and then go into surgery. You really have to have a good match. And that's why
also those when people go to emergency room for an emergency that they have to be operated, they count on that there is supply of blood.
Absolutely.
For, to take care of that particular situation at that moment. It's not that next week or anything like that. It is really necessary that we do have the supply necessary to to take care of that that type of emergency also.
Yes, and during COVID, the number of pints collected really dropped. So we are now, right, Isaac, starting to get really into the swing of things and bring the numbers back up, but we're not exactly where we need to be yet. Mm-hmm. So Isaac, take it away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, 4 years later, here we are. We're still struggling to collect blood, but it is better than what it was even a year ago when I first started. If you'd like to know a little bit more about the current status of, the blood world and blood drives that are going on, most recently, we declared a blood emergency from January 11th to January 30th. And a blood emergency is basically when we have an extremely low supply of blood to give out to the hospitals. For example, we had a 1 to 2 day supply of critical O positive, O negative, and platelets to give out. So even though we are now out of this blood emergency, right, we're basically in March, it doesn't mean that we're not facing low levels of blood. Most people don't know that we usually have at least one blood drive a day, and we need to have at least 20 to 30 blood drives a day. 20 to 30 blood drives a month per region. So yeah, the need is critical, and it could really be resolved if more people came out to donate. That's really key.
When we talk about, let me see, a pint, could you tell me, comparing what a pint looks like? Because I know that those little bags, I don't know what is the, the quantity on those, those plastic bags when they, they're giving back, they're giving blood to a patient or whatever. Compared to like what?
Yeah, so a pint of blood is about the size of a standard water bottle. I like to joke around to say that we don't ask for too much, even though I know we do. It's part of you, and it's something that takes courage as well, right? But that volume of blood, that 1 pint, that water bottle, that volume, it replenishes itself within 24 hours, and your red blood cells begin to replenish themselves within 48 hours. So yes, that is the amount that we collect.
And also the type of blood. I mean, like, not everybody had the same blood, but the majority of people had type what? Or something like that. What is the difference between that and the other blood?
Yeah, so the most common blood type is O positive. I'm O positive, so that's pretty cool to belong to a group that is, most common in the United States. The least common blood type would be AB negative. I believe that comes in at 0.6% of the population, if I'm remembering correctly. But basically, the differences in blood have to do with different antigens and different markers in them. For example, O positive, that's a really critical blood type because it's the universal donor for all positive blood types. So if you're A positive, you can receive O positive blood. If you're B positive, you can receive O positive blood. On the other side, O negative is the universal donor for any blood type. So whether you're B positive, B negative, you can receive O negative blood, and your body will accept it. So especially in conditions when somebody's in an emergency or in an accident, right? And we're not sure, or the hospitals aren't sure of what the recipient's blood type is, they give O negative. That's why that one is extremely important as well.
Okay, thank you. There are other things that we need to talk about just because of the blood, because people said you have, blue blood, which happened to be a television show that I love.
I've heard of it. It's good.
And when you bleed, everybody bleeds the same color, no matter what.
Right. That's
Okay,
correct.
so that's important for people to know. But now let me see. How often can a person donate blood?
Yeah, so a person can donate whole blood every 56 days. Whole blood is a type of donation that we offer, and another type of donation that we offer is called double red cell. And with this type, you can donate every 112 days.
Could you explain the double red cell? Because I know there's this really fancy machine called Alex that you bring for that, and we're always so excited when someone is sitting next to Alex.
Oh, yes. So with an Alex machine donation, right, or a double red cell donation, we do the same thing that we would do with a regular donation, right? We insert the needle into your vein, we begin to draw the blood, but that blood, it goes through a centrifuge, and we separate the platelets from the plasma and the red blood cells. We give you back your platelets and your plasma, and we collect double the amount of red blood cells, which I think is a pretty cool process, all while you're sitting there. This type of donation, it takes about 40 minutes on average. A regular whole blood donation, that takes about 8 to 15. So yeah, if you're tight on time, maybe go towards the whole blood donation. But what I will say is that with that whole blood donation, you save up to 3 lives. With an Alex machine donation, you can save up to 6 because we collect double the amount of red blood cells. Mhm.
Yeah, there's always a lot of excitement when someone's on Alex.
The best. We're
Cheering.
collecting more blood. We're helping more people.
Okay, another key question I believe is like, who can donate? It's not that just anybody that is in good. People may be in good health, maybe, and we
Right.
don't know. How do you know that the blood that is donated is a good blood, or that, that could be used and whatever? I mean, it may be a silly question, but I just don't.
No, it's a great
Not at
question.
all. No, it's not a silly question at all. So the blood, basically, we go through different safeguards to ensure that the blood that we're collecting is safe to give out to hospitals and to recipients. The first safeguard that you'll see will be at the questionnaire part of the blood drive, where it's a bunch of questions. I want to say like between 60 to 70 questions, which may be a lot, but they're about your own health history. So this is the first kind of screen guard that we have. Afterwards, when we collect the blood, it goes out to be tested. And we test for a bunch of different viruses. Off the top of my head, I can think of HIV, hepatitis B, hepatitis C, West Nile virus. And yes, we test it for those and for a bunch of other viruses. If anything comes out positive, we test it again just to make sure that it's okay. Just to make sure if it was like a false positive or, whatever the case may be. So if it actually comes out as positive again, we notify the donor just to make sure that they're on the same page and they get the medical attention that they need. But regarding perhaps qualifications, right? Or, what you need to donate, typically you just need to be in good health. You need to have a state ID with a picture on it, and to eat well beforehand, and to drink a lot of water as well, starting the night before, I would say.
Isaac, we were trying to get over 100 pints, and we did have to let some people go home because they were very anemic. They didn't have enough iron in their blood, or their blood pressure was really low. And so, they thought they'd be able to donate and they couldn't, and they were so disappointed. But it's important to be safe.
Right.
And we are.
So when you go try to donate, did they test the blood?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
So in the medical portion of of the blood drive, we do check your iron level, which with a little prick on your finger. We check your iron level, your temperature, and your blood pressure. But that full analysis of the blood, that's tested afterwards at our labs.
I just want to register one tiny complaint, and that is that I lost weight and they won't let me give blood anymore because I'm under, I think it was 96 pounds. And I said, why can't you take a half pint? And they said, no, I'm so sorry. So I'm going to put on weight so I could give blood next time. Just telling you.
Well, my sister was, I used to donate blood all the time because the company she works for was part of this, agreement, or maybe
Great.
asking employees to donate. and I cannot see a needle. I mean, if I see a needle, and I mean, I go totally bananas. But I love to see her coming home with the little blood thing that
Uh-huh.
Oh,
they
yeah.
give her. But now we also there is an age requirement. No
Yes.
matter how well you mean, there is also you cannot donate if you are a certain age.
Correct. So I'll start off on the younger end of the spectrum, right? So we can accept a donation when you're 16 years old. However, you do need a parental consent form signed by a parent or a guardian in either blue or black ink. And this is an FDA requirement. If anybody's listening that would need this form, you can find it on our website, nybc.org. Or if you're a high school student, you might have that in the main office if we have a blood drive coming up soon. On the other spectrum, right, once you turn 76, you just need a doctor's note saying that you're in good health and that your body, would be able to handle the donation. We just have to present it to us once, and then you will be fine to donate.
When did they pick that age, 76? I'm curious
There
about.
was a song on the Music Man, and they thought it was a great number. I have to tell you that they use me for people like you, Maria. When people are nervous about needles, I just polish up my jokes and I distract you while they're putting in the needle. So just so you know, I would take good care of you.
You could have seen me when we go into the COVID situation.
Oh,
I made so much racket on that place.
take me with you next
my
time.
sister. I know. I just walk away after the procedure was done. But anyway, there are people who are
Sure.
about needles and things like that, and also this is done in a secure place. I
Yes.
think we need to make sure that people donate through a center like this that is
Oh, yes.
well taken care of, and that we know that
Professionals.
everything is acceptable and correct. So we just need to make sure that people understand that. One of the things that I like to talk about is on this particular subject. There is so much drugs being used by people. So whatever is happening within that system, someone that have used whatever substance, it comes out in that test that you provide prior to the donation, right?
Correct. Yes.
Including chemotherapy,
And
right?
how we need to then make a big campaign for younger people to donate, because they are using all kind of stuff out there, and we depend on them because of so many other issues within a person's body. How we can attract someone like from 25 to 50 years old to do that. Maybe we can, we could get the hospital, the people who goes to the clinics to get some material. Is there material that you have that you can provide so it could be distributed?
Yes.
Good question.
Yes, we do have some pamphlets that we, do offer when we do some campaigning or some canvassing. We do go to high schools pretty often to do in-class presentations, to dispel any myths, to answer any questions, to show them that it's a really simple process and that it's very altruistic, right? It's something that's bigger than oneself. We also go to colleges. We speak to different clubs, different organizations, and we try to compel them to come out and donate because at the end of the day, right, you're helping save a life. And, not to go too cynical, but you never know when you need some help as well. So it can go both ways.
We have people who needs blood that are in the hospital, and someone, a relative, will go and say, I'll donate blood, because someone is on the hospital. But that blood that is donated is not the one that is used for that particular situation.
Yeah, at least from the New York Blood Center, the blood that we collect, it doesn't go specifically to one person, right? It's collected, it's tested, and then it's shipped out to the hospitals where they, decide who it goes to. We do have a program called Meet the Donor. Not everybody participates in it. But for example, a recipient could film a video and say, hi, thank you so much for your donation. You helped save my life. And then we're able to communicate and send that video to the donor. But it doesn't happen all the time. But I feel like, just donating in itself, you'll feel pretty good about it.
Okay. Rita, you need to add more, because there is still a lot more to be added to this particular conversation. I'm trying to think about my experiences with, donations, not only for, blood, also kidneys and, heart, transplant and things like that. The amount of blood that is needed for an operation. You have any idea how much blood is, people, lose, and how much is had to be replaced? Have any idea how that works? Because there's an operation. I think Presbyterian hospital. I'm sure that they have to be doing operation every half an hour or something like that. So how do we do with that?
Unfortunately, I'm unfamiliar with that statistic, but I'm sure it varies, right? Not only on the type of surgery, but on the individual. How much blood they will need. Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing from a physical therapy point of view, because at New York Presbyterian Columbia, they do transplants, they do joint replacements, every kind of surgery. And very often the physical therapist would notice after surgery that the patient lost enough blood that he's very weak. And sure enough, you look at the medical record and you talk to the nurse and doctor, and they have to transfuse the patient. They have to give the patient some extra blood so that he or she could walk and not faint and be able to go home. It is not a good thing to stay in the hospital too long. It's just not. It's better to recover at home. So not only sometimes you need blood during the surgery because you're losing it as they're operating, but then you need it after surgery to give you strength to be functional, to walk, to dress yourself, and go home. And blood is really the fluid of life. It's very precious and very important.
Well, we cannot live without that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And maybe there is another type of a campaign that would just maybe try to encourage people to donate. If someone has a relative that is going to be treated by whatever, maybe they can be urged to donate,
Mm-hmm.
because people just don't want to give this type of thing. They just don't want to give just like that. But maybe that type of campaign could be also incorporated in the treatment of people who go to the hospital for whatever reason.
You're right.
When you have one patient in the emergency room, and there's 7 relatives talking all over the place.
Right.
So maybe we could ask, how you consider in case that there is a need to donate, for things like that, because that's one problem that we have in the emergency room, especially Latinos. If someone, has a problem, every relative from Pennsylvania, Connecticut comes up, and no one is, considering giving, something,
You know what the New York Blood Center does that's really smart? The lobby of Milstein Hospital on 168th in Fort Washington, which is the main entrance to the main acute care hospital, is huge. And that's where they set up the blood donations. Okay. So employees and visitors are lying there, smiling, giving blood, and people are coming in and out of the building. And it really, really is the best advertisement. It's fantastic. So I think that you should keep that up, Isaac, because letting people watch, and you're happy when you're donating, and you're looking at those cookies. You can't wait to eat them. It's just all of a positive experience. It really is.
Yeah, and I'd like to add, if other people who might be nervous or shy about donating see other people donating, it kind of creates a chain reaction and makes them say, hey, I can do it myself. It doesn't seem too bad. So I agree.
Yeah. And those are professionals taking the blood. We see nurses and phlebotomists working at the New York Blood Center. So they're so incredibly experienced. And now my husband almost didn't marry me because he had to have a blood test before we got married, and he didn't want to do that. Maria, he makes you look.
He said, Mark, how could he?
What can I say? And you know, you do it once.
Well, he's afraid of it. I don't blame him, because
No.
I'll tell you, when I see a syringe or something, I mean, I just think about this morning I have my, what is the shot by the, I'm supposed to have like 5 years, something like pneumonia or something like that. And the poor nurse went through, like she could not believe that I was making so much noise and things like that about just to see the needle. I try not, when I go to the dentist also, it's a problem with needle. Well, so maybe Mark went through that whole thing also.
He went once, and I was with him while he was donating blood, and now he goes every single time. So, and I also want to thank you, Maria, by having us on your show, on this show. You are reaching many, many, many people.
When you told me, okay, let me go back to my personal thing. I know, we are friends, and I know that I have many friends. I'm not Jewish, I'm Roman Catholic. I know so many Jewish people, they go to your synagogue, and I have been there. I see the type of services that they provide, which are, incredible. But also the dedication that they have, opening up their place for something like this, is extremely important. Mm-hmm. And people have to know that. Mm-hmm. And that's why I said, have a little picture of the, of the photo of the synagogue, so people know what we are talking about.
Oh, yeah, I sent one actually.
It's just the people who are inside providing from the rabbi and everybody that is connected to that particular site, that they are providing something so extremely important to the community. They're not doing it because, for the Jewish or the Muslims. They do it for everybody that is in need.
Amen.
And we recognize that. I know that is all the programs that, that we have there. I said we. But anyway, I think I am part of this community, and I know the importance of working together and communicating with each other.
Yet churches also have wonderful social halls and conference rooms, and the church on 181st and Fort Washington has had a blood drive with the New York Blood Center. So this community is a giving back community. And also Mount Sinai Synagogue does blood drives quarterly. They're on Bennett Avenue. So we're on the top of the heights, and they're down below, closer to Broadway. And we had actually, Isaac, we had a blood drive 1 week apart, Mount Sinai and Hebrew Tabernacle. And yet we got in the 90s, and they got in the 70s or 80s. So you see, sometimes people can't donate on the day that you're open. So it's good to have some competition in the neighborhood, because there's plenty of people out there.
So maybe everybody probably knows that I'm a district leader. We should take advantage also. For the primaries are coming. There are going to be 10 days of pre-election, right? Voting.
Mm-hmm.
They want the day of the. Maybe we could put like some posters around,
sure,
announcing the next blood drive, in our community. Rita, I don't know if that should be something that we work on.
Isaac does that. Isaac creates the posters for me, and the next one is June 13th.
Right.
So it's never too early to start getting people to put it on their calendar.
Mm-hmm. Right. And also that is in summer. There is a lot of accidents that happens in the summer.
Yes.
That the needs is greater there probably. So we need to alert people that is, something is really imperative that we cooperate.
Yeah, don't laugh, but we once had a blood drive in a snowstorm, during a snowstorm. And, it really kept the number down because people were afraid of hurting themselves. But in the summer, when we have a blood drive, we have air conditioning, and that's actually a plus. It has to be a certain temperature, by the way, and the New York Blood Center is very particular about it. Yeah. So the summers are fine for donating, and there's no snow to worry about. So it's good.
It works out. Yeah.
It works out good.
So anything else, Isa, that you can share with us, and we'll try to help out.
Sure. Sure. So, one thing that I would like to discuss would be the need for diverse donors.
Yes.
We have a diverse population ourselves, so we need the blood supply to reflect that. That's especially important because those who receive chronic transfusions, think of people who have sickle cell anemia, people who have cancer, they fare better with blood that is more closely matched to their own.
Ooh.
It really reduces the risk of adverse reactions, and it really improves the patient outcomes as well. So that's just one reason why we really like to have more diverse donors at our blood drives. Another one is that the African American and the Latino populations tend to have higher rates of O-type blood. So as I mentioned before, O negative is the universal donor, and O positive is the universal donor for all of the positives. So that really helps out, especially people who are in accidents. So yes, if you are a diverse donor, please come out and support our blood drives.
Just because you just mentioned and you have a driver's license, and you suppose you may like to have information that you need to to be a donor and things like that. So would that take care of blood? No, because if you have an accident, then you cannot use that blood. I mean, something that's not an option.
Oh, what was your question? I'm sorry.
On the driver's license, that the
Yeah.
people who have
Oh,
supposed
okay.
to donate to something like that. So that's not included on that type of donation. That's just included for whatever.
Organs.
You need to replace a heart or kidney or something like that, not for
Yes,
blood.
the organ donation, that's something separate that we don't
Okay.
offer that service. Yes.
Okay. All right. Rita,
Yes.
this has been so informative, educational. I am so glad that I know you and that you're involved in this thing, and probably have to pay a little more attention to
Thank you, Maria.
the donation and the work at the Hebrew Tabernacle.
And it's
But,
such an
Isaac,
honor. It's
I
an
don't know.
honor to help the neighborhood, to help people.
Yeah. We like to do. I said I don't know how much. I want you to stay right there.
Sure.
How much you know about Rita? Rita also have and her many hats a fitness program that I need to tell people about. That is extremely important because you see, I need treatment. I mean, I need to always lose about 75 pounds. But
Oh, you do not, Maria, but I'd love you to come to my class.
That's another story. Rita, could you tell us a little bit about your
Sure.
fitness, program that you do also together with the Tabernacle?
Yes. So, because I'm a vice president and on the board of the Tabernacle, and I don't cook and I don't bake, everybody's expected to do something. So I said, okay, I'm a physical therapist. I'm going to do exercise. And a lot of when I first joined the Tabernacle in the 80s, there were many, many elderly people. So when you're elderly, here's what happens. Your joints suffer wear and tear. You have joint pain in your knees and your ankles and your hips and your low back. So then you don't walk so much. So then your cardiovascular system, your lungs and your heart, they're just not working optimally. And you can get short of breath just going up a hill. And Washington Heights has a lot of hills. And the other thing is, if you're not walking a lot and doing weight-bearing activities, your bones start losing some of their calcium. And you become first osteopenic and then osteoporotic, where you have such thin bones that if, God forbid, you fall, you can fracture a hip, or your vertebrae can collapse, or you could fracture a wrist or a shoulder. And so I started doing these exercise classes for elderly people. And they would first talk to me about what their issues were. And I put together an exercise program. So don't freak out. It's 90 minutes nonstop. But It is smooth and slow, and I hold all the ranges of motion at the end to give the muscles a chance to stretch and strengthen. And people know that if I'm doing 10 repetitions of something and it's uncomfortable or they're not ready yet to do 10, they do 3 or 4 repetitions. And sometimes, and I don't get insulted, they get up at the 45-minute mark halfway through the class and they tiptoe out the door and they leave. That is perfectly fine because people have to start somewhere. They have to move under the watchful and professional eye of a therapist or trainer. They have to start slowly. They have to distribute the exercises throughout the body so that their core is strong and that they have good range of motion and could reach maybe the top shelf, and they could sit down and stand up from the edge of their seat without hurting their backs. And so I do spine exercises, hips, knees, even toes. I don't miss one joint in the body. And the class was so popular. There's a Monday evening class at the Tabernacle. And again, it's at 551 Fort Washington. So the entrance is on Fort Washington, and right around the corner is 185th Street, 185 Street. Classes are on Monday evening, 7 o'clock sharp for 90 minutes. And those are for people that are coming home from work. They change in our ladies' or men's room, and then they exercise, and then they go home and have dinner. And then I started one when I retired because I was working a 12-hour day at the hospital. Now I'm on vacation 7 days a week as a retiree. So now I do a class that starts at 10 a.m. until 11:30. Then people go home, they shower, they eat lunch, and most of them go back to their home office. So I'm starting to get people that are in their 40s and 50s. They work from home and they really want to get a total, what I call a total body tune-up to music in a social setting. And I try to explain the exercises. I put in a couple of corny jokes every few minutes. And it's a social event as well as a healthy event. And then people stay after class and they say, well, Rita, when I was doing this, the shoulder exercise, it hurt when I do this. What can I do differently? So as a physical therapist, I modify exercises for them. So sometimes I'm looking out at a sea of 25, 30 people, and we're socially distanced. So it is, that social hall is a big room. And I see people doing different things. And that's because I've taught them how to modify the exercise. And so they're doing it in different ways and not hurting themselves. And nobody calls me the next day to say that he or she is really hurting. A little sore maybe, but it really keeps people tuned up. So I thought maybe I would put out my email address out there. And if you want to email me and tell me about your specific muscular, skeletal, neurological issues, I'll let you know if this class works for you.
So now, Isaac, listen to my idea.
What?
We have to take advantage of all these exercise fitness lovers.
Yes.
To say you are doing this thing, a fantastic, program with Rita, and now we
donate
are
blood
to become donors for the blood center.
Yes.
And that's why, I promise. And we have to work on that very seriously because, as she said, there's a younger people and things like that, and they don't probably think about that. We could, get something, make a difference, really make a difference. It's a combination. You are getting fit, you are getting in shape, you are getting, so now your blood, I'm sure that the blood, what is it that they call it? The blood quality.
Donation
is much better. Just donate a few, whatever. So, and also I'd like to get work with you, Isaac, on to putting together some, reach out to everybody in our community for the next blood drive in, it's coming in June, you said.
Right. The HebrewTabernacle.org website has all the information about upcoming blood drives, my exercise class. There's also, we partner with the hospital to give free flu shot clinics every year. So we're trying to open up the building as much as we can to the community. And we're looking for more things that we can do because we're so prominently located right smack in the middle of, Upper Washington Heights.
And also, sometime I have to tell you, I do this show every month. And sometimes there is some emergency that I cannot do it. So I asked Freddie, my savior from Manhattan neighborhood, to do the show, to show the. So maybe we can show the program in a later date, and we'll try to contribute to to continue making people aware
Thank you.
This particular issue is.
That would be amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, housekeeping. Now it's coming. This is the month. This March is a Women's Month. We need to encourage women to take care of themselves, to take care of the family, to make sure that we should take care of our body, and to just to give recognition to all these us females out there during this month. Check your blood pressure. Make sure that you're if you want to go on vacation, that's fine, but also make sure that breast cancer or whatever type of all those illnesses are there, that you make sure that you are tested and that you continue being on top of your health.
Amen.
As a district leader, I need to tell you that there's a primary coming up. We have this war. The country is on crisis. We need to make sure that the people vote, that they vote the right way. I'm not going to tell them who to vote for, but it's important that we are society. There are people say, I don't want to vote because this is a criminal, this is a whatever it is. Finding excuses not to do what we need to do to make the world better, our society better, and the future, that we continue building a good future for the next generation. That is extremely important that we put our differences aside, that we need to stop this violence of the crime violence, the arms. I don't know how a 15 years old child have access to purchase a gun or to get a gun, start shooting all over the place and doing things like that. We need to put a little more attention to our moral qualities in order to make a better life for everybody, because it's scary. It's scary what is happening out there. And we need to make sure that our streets are safe, that we protect each other, and that we respect the rights of everybody to demonstrate, but peacefully, instead of having someone being killed because there was a demonstration, or someone burning themselves in Washington, D.C. Recently, someone, committed suicide. That's one of the most incredible things, that a human being, a mind, can lead someone to do something like that. So I think there is a lot of work that we need to do. There is a lot of things that needs to be changed in our society, and I will continue bringing information to our community if Manhattan neighborhood allows me. So I think we may have like 1 or 2 more minutes. Would you like to say anything more, Isaac and Rita, please?
Yeah, I just want to say that thanks to you, Maria, I became a poll worker. And I loved during the primaries and during elections being in the church at the corner of my neighborhood and seeing all my neighbors. And they say, oh, you're such a good poll worker.
And dancer too.
It's great. So thank you for inspiring me, Maria. And you are such an asset to our community. Thank you so much for your passion, and you just never stop. You're like the Energizer Bunny. Thank you.
Thank you, Rita. Isaac?
I just want to thank you for your time. Thank you for the opportunity to speak a little bit more about blood donations. Thank you, Rita, again, for all of your support. And please come out and donate.
Thank you so much. I have, I think, one more minute, a minute and a half. I really have to make the same appeal. We need to have peace in our world.
Yes.
We have a great community uptown. Washington Heights, Inwood, what a great place to raise a family, to live, and to respect each other. This is one word that I always use, respect, because if we don't respect each other, we are doomed to, to make biggest mistakes. Let's cooperate with everybody, and also pay attention to the environment. I think the environment is key in the future of all of us. So let's try to make our street clean, ride the subways and the bus and the bicycles and things like that, but donate blood, because this is extremely important. And the goal of this particular program is to make sure that we increase the number of donors for our particular cause, which is the Blood Center of New York.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, both of you.
I started with a chest cold, and I was having a hard time breathing. I think they knew without a definitive diagnosis right away what was wrong with me. I remember the doctors coming to tell me they're going to take me to the ICU. I was beyond frightened.
I headed uptown, I gave my blood, and sort of walked away, not really thinking in the end who was getting it and what the end result would be.
I know she did not know when she went to donate convalescent plasma that she was going to save a life that day, but she did. She saved my life. If she did not make that donation, I don't know if I would be sitting here talking to you right now. Abby's a hero.
The hero comments are not something that I really feel that comfortable with, but my plasma did save someone's life.
Contact your local blood center. It's simple, it's easy, and someone right now is waiting for you to save their life.